Well, I'm really pleased to be here in Manchester. Education faces the most enormous threat. You have to think that public service education that values all children is under an existential threat from both the SATs and the mass academisation. It's terrible. The fear that you should feel about what they can do to us is real. They might win. They might academise every school. They might drive the trades unions out. They might create a system where academies can get away with saying, we don't want your poor quality children. We see that academics are reporting that is the way academies improve their results, by getting rid of poor quality children. Well, we want a public service ethos education that values every child. We don't want some sort of cut rate where the privatisers of the post office want to set up so that they can find just the profitable routes, so that the academy chains just want to educate the easy to educate child. That's not our system, and we're here to fight for the education of every child. This rally today should give us hope, should give us some of the victories that we've had, should give us hope. We have teachers, we have head teachers, we've got academics, we've got children's authors, and most importantly we have parents. And this alliance can win. We're showing that we can win. We have forced them back on baseline. They had to abandon the Key Stage 1 SPAG test. They've had to abandon elements of their forced academisation programme. We're showing that we are strong enough to change them, but we are going to have to work a lot more to win this. I think what Garda said about the fact that they have retreated on forced academisation, but they still have the same destination in mind. They still are trying to do this, and we are the force that has to stop them. I want to tell you the 4 things that I always try and say if I'm on the media or if I'm talking to parents about forced academisation, about what they're doing to our schools. That it's the wrong priority for our children. That it has no evidence that it improves things for our children. That it's undemocratic and it's cutting parents out of their children's education, and that it's expensive. And those 4 things, I think we have to keep repeating them. The wrong priority. There are things going wrong in our schools now. There is a teacher shortage. There are not enough places for children to attend. There is a terrible funding crisis that's leading to teacher redundancies, to class sizes going up, to support staff being cut. There is chaos in the curriculum. Parents might not know this, it might not, but for secondary school teachers, the GCSEs that they're going to teach from September, 20% of them still are not accredited, so that there's chaos for those teachers. There is terrible chaos in the primary schools. These are the real priorities. Sort out the funding, sort out the teacher shortage, ensure there are enough places for our children. Those are the right priorities. But Nicky Morgan and Nick Gibb have the wrong priorities. That's my first point. My second, that there is no evidence for this working. And you have to know that that is true. There is no evidence that academies are improving results for children. And I've written to Nicky Morgan about this. You may have seen some of that exchange of correspondence online. They have no evidence. There are lies, damn lies and statistics, and they are trying to use statistics to fool the people of this country. So they say 2 things about academy results. They say that schools that weren't doing well, which they forced to convert, have improved more than other schools. And they say that schools that converted because they were doing well are doing better than other schools. And both those things are true, and neither of them tells you anything good about academies. Because in truth, if you look at schools that got the same results that they forced to become academies, and you look at the ones that stayed with local authorities, they have improved more. When you compare like with like, then local authority schools are improving faster than academy schools. And if you look at schools that have converted because they were doing well, well, of course they were doing well, so of course they're doing quite well. But if you do like for like comparisons with local authority schools, they're doing as well. They're doing better. So there is no evidence that academies are improving results, and I'm calling Nicky Morgan a liar over the fact that she keeps saying that it's true. We've asked her recently, how many statisticians do they have in the department? Because any statistician would tell you that she is not comparing like with like. We got the answer back last week. We haven't used this very much yet. 129 statisticians they employ in the DFE. Their statistics, she must know that her statistics are wrong. She is lying to the people. So it's the wrong priorities, it's evidence-free, and it's undemocratic. They stood for election only a year ago, and in their manifesto they didn't say that their direction was to academise every school in this country. There was some guff about free schools, there was some guff about schools that weren't doing well in Ofsted being academised, but they never said what they put in the white paper, and they never said what they're doing now. They didn't say that to the people of this country when they asked for our votes a year ago. And I tell you, that gives you only two options. Either that they were deliberately pulling the wool over our eyes and they didn't want to say they were going to do that, which would be disgraceful, or they've dreamed it up since the election and it's on the back of a fact packet, which would be disgraceful. There is a third option, that it might be both, dreamed up and they've just making it up on the spot and not telling us, but really undemocratic. And not just that, lack of democracy. The fact that they intend to remove the requirement to have elected parent governors tells you that they are not interested in democracy. They're not interested in what parents say. The fact that in none of these academy conversions will they give parents a vote. The fact that if your school becomes an academy and they want it to change chain, that you won't get a vote as a parent about your child's education, about which chain they go with. This is undemocratic, so it's the wrong priorities, evidence-free and undemocratic, and boy is it expensive. You've heard this figure already. Lucy Powell's estimate is that it would cost £1.3 billion in lawyers' fees, not on education, to convert all the schools in this country. And it's not just that expense. Look at Liam Nolan, the head of Perry Beach's Multi-Academy Trust in Birmingham, paying himself £150,000 as a salary, not thinking that was enough, so setting up a shell company which paid him another £120,000 a year. Look at the Multi-Academy Trust chief executives paying themselves more than the Prime Minister. That is expensive. And just stop and think, where does that money come from to pay themselves £250,000 a year? Where does that come from? Their entrepreneurship? Well, of course it doesn't. It comes from your taxpayers' pounds. It comes from the education of the children in those multi-academy trusts. So this programme that they are forcing on us is the wrong priorities, not dealing with teacher shortages, not dealing with pupil place shortages. It has no evidence for it. It's undemocratic, and boy is it expensive. And when you put those things together, you know that it's privatisation. The reason you drive the public out, the reason you want to break teacher and support staff pay and conditions, is so that people like Liam Nolan and other multi-academy trust chief executives can increase their salary, their benefits, to buy a yacht at the expense of the education of our children. It's privatisation that is their agenda and that we're fighting against. This rally is a really vital part of defending our children's education. The NUT ballot that's coming up is another really vital part of that. Please, please do everything you can to connect with parents, to talk to teachers. It could be the end of state education in this country, but it won't be, because we're going to fight them and we're going to beat them. Thank you very much.